Hello everyone, my name is Tyler. Welcome to episode 8 of Fortnite Battle Royale Ideas. If you missed my previous episode of the series, go check it out. It was a bunch of ideas for a Christmas update. A lot of really cool stuff on that one, and I recommend it, especially with Christmas coming up. Speaking of Christmas, I thought it fitting to do a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away PSN and Steam cards to all my Patreon supporters, as well as one of my subscribers. If you're not sure what Patreon is or what my channel is all about, click the link to my Patreon in the description below and it will explain everything. If you want to go above and beyond your YouTube subscription to support me, that is the place. For the subscriber giveaway, you have to be subscribed, obviously. If you're considering subscribing, I do all things gaming. I do Fortnite videos weekly, and soon we'll be doing indie game playthrough reviews alongside the Fortnite videos, and all kinds of gaming goodness. I will pick 10 subscribers who have been the most active and genuine for the month of December, then I will randomly pick one of those 10 as the winner. I will announce the winner in a following video. Without further delay, episode 8's idea of the Fortnite series comes from two people. John Thompson, who says, "Here's a different one. I wish the grenades were less like a bouncy ball and more like a grenade." And Gandalf LC, who says, "Add smoke grenades and flashbangs to sneak in enemy bases." Grenades, tactical, and lethal, that's what we'll be talking about today. Let's go over all the ideas and how they might work. We've got the standard grenade. You could call this a frag grenade, but as John said, I would call this a bouncy grenade. Can I get a testament of how many times you've been killed by your own grenade in Fortnite? I can't be the only one. I've killed myself at least once, and a squad mate, I think twice. Rest in peace. I don't have a problem with the current grenade. It's something that has a blast radius and does decent damage. Anything with those characteristics should be hard to use, though I do think it's a bit unpredictable, but then again, it could just be my incompetence. I have seen people mention showing an arc of where the throw would go. I personally don't like this idea, as I think it adds a UI element that makes the game too easy. Even though I have killed myself and squad mates with the standard grenade, I have gotten many kills that fully compensate for those few times. But if you're still not convinced that the regular old bouncy grenade is a viable choice, then I'm recommending the idea of a sticky grenade. This is exactly what it sounds like. Throw it, and when it makes contact with a surface, it will stick to it and blow up after about a second. This would be a much more controlled grenade, and therefore I think it would need to have a smaller blast radius. Not necessarily do less damage, just the damage radius smaller. In most all situations, I think this would be easier to use, though not better in every situation than the bouncy grenade. If you need to throw a grenade through a bunch of trees, or into a room, or through a window, I'd have to pick the bouncy grenade. But when you're throwing a grenade at the base of someone's fortress, or out in the open or up or down a hill, I see the sticky grenade being a better choice, because unlike the bouncy grenade, you'll know where it'll do the damage, and you'll need to pinpoint that damage. You could do an impact grenade that would be almost the same as a sticky grenade. The differences I have for this one would be that it blows up instantly instead of after a second or so. It has a larger blast radius and maybe does more damage to construction but far less damage to players. An idea or variant of this idea that came to mind was a Firecracker, something that would explode on impact or have a short fuse that detonates multiple times. Each detonation having a small blast radius and doing minimal damage, almost be more like a concussion tactical type of grenade, which we'll get to in a minute. I could see a Firecracker grenade in the game now, or even as a Chinese New Year or Independence Day type of event. Before we get any further into the video, I also want to mention Snipa's TO3's comment, as I drew some inspiration from his comment for this video. He says, "I think they should add ammo types strictly for the grenade launcher like flash rounds, smoke rounds, and flame rounds. I think this would help balance between the grenade launcher and rocket launcher. The ammo would have variants, the rockets would be common, the smoke would be green, and the flash and fire would be blue. The way I think flash should work isn't really to impede vision, but rather sound, making it harder to hear footsteps for about 10 seconds. The way I think fire could work is if a player is hit with fire, it would deal 5 damage per second and last 10 seconds. It would also do damage to wood." Thank you for the comment, and while these ideas are for launchers, I'm taking them for inspiration for grenades for this video. Though, keep them in mind for launchers. The ideas I mentioned in this video could also be cool as different types of rocket ammos, and we may discuss that in a future video. There is currently no sustained health loss elements within Fortnite. I have mentioned a bleed out effect in my ammo crafting video, and I don't think it would be a bad idea to add something like a Molotov to the game. Something that, once it hits you, does minimal damage but does sustained damage. Throw this Molotov, once it hits, it blows up, leaving a fire trail in its blast radius. Anyone that got hit with it would take damage every second. It couldn't be too much damage because that would get annoying, and the damage taken couldn't be too fast because it wouldn't feel like sustained damage. I'm proposing you take 15 damage total, 1 damage for each second over 15 seconds. While that's not a lot of damage, you could also throw it on the ground, let's say at the bottom of a stairway. That's going to make that enemy chasing you think twice about following you up the steps. This gives you time to reload or get away. Or apply that to any other similar situation where you could block off a path. That fire could stay where it blew up for various amounts of time depending on balancing factors, but I think 10 seconds would be solid. Those are the lethal grenade ideas I have. Let me know which is your favorite. Now let's talk about some tactical grenades. I'm even more excited about some of these. There's a lot of balancing factors when it comes to both grenade types. I think a subtle one is throw distance. Depending on how far or not far you can throw a grenade can really change how good it is. When it comes to tacticals, I think you should be able to throw them farther than lethals. You don't want to be able to throw lethals too far because you might just get a lucky explosion and get a kill, but when it comes to tacticals, more than likely, it itself isn't going to get you a kill. So I think tacticals can be more versatile and have more tactical options, like being able to throw them at larger range of distances. A smoke grenade is a fantastic idea that has already made its way into the game. While the smoke is much smaller than I imagined it would be, I have still found it useful. The map is large and mostly open, but if you use the smoke within a town setting or in a building or when the circle closes in, basically any small area, you can really hide or sneak up on your enemy and use the smoke to your advantage. Even in open areas, it's not too bad. While it only conceals a small area, it can break line of sight, and you usually pick up 5 of them at a time. So if it is a really open area, you've got something you can work with. Smokes also make grabbing loot drops especially easier because people like to bait those. Smoke grenade is a fantastic idea, and I'm glad to see that it made it into the game. I now have 2 stun type of grenade ideas, a flashbang that would blink with a blinding white light upon detonation, and a concussion that would make a loud bang upon detonation or across multiple detonations like I mentioned earlier. Neither of these grenades would impede or slow movement like they do in some games. Instead, they would have one ability, and they would do that ability really well. The flashbang blinds opponents, or if you're unlucky, you and your squad mates as well. You would see this white flash from almost an infinite distance away. It would affect you within a large radius, and the intensity would depend on how far away you are and how much of the explosion was in your field of view. If you're 100 meters away and it happened in the corner of your screen may only get slightly brighter for a second. But if you're 15 meters out and you're looking right at it, it'll get almost blindingly bright and you'll have a partial image burned into your screen or field of view of what you were most recently looking at before the flash. And then if it was thrown right at your feet, well, good luck, you won't be able to tell what's going on for a little while. I think the ability of a flash should be really strong, like I said, and I think that alone would make it harder to use because you've got to be careful not to blind yourself or those you're playing with. Imagine, one squad mate opens a door to a building a group is hiding in, another throws in a flashbang, and upon detonation you charge into blinded enemies looking the wrong way, blindly shooting at what they think is their target. A concussion would be similar to the flashbang, except it would affect sound and hearing rather than sight. Its ability would be strong and would have a large area of effect, just like the flashbang. The difference being is line of sight has nothing to do with it. You could throw it behind an enemy and it would still affect them as normal, or they could be on the other side of a wall and it would affect them, though to a lesser extent. At a distance, you would hear a loud pop sound. A blast that is closer could cause ringing for a duration of time that would get greater the closer it is, and a blast that is really close would impede you from hearing other things as well. You know those scenes from war movies where something loud happens and you see everyone yelling but you can't hear a thing? Then after some seconds pass, you hear a ringing and slowly sound starts to come back. Something like that. Situational awareness to sound in Fortnite is so vital to you staying alive. Imagine implementing a concussion into the game. You could throw it at a squad and run right past their cover without them ever being able to hear you go by. And as long as you keep breaking line of sight, they're going to have no idea where you are and that you've made it to safety. Or if you notice 2 different groups and neither know where you are, you could throw it at one group, deafen them, take out the other, and that first group may never hear the gunfire well enough to know where it came from. I love the versatility of this. You could also use it on offense. Throw a few concussions at someone's fortifications, then build a ramp to the top of it. They wouldn't be able to hear it happening, then you drop in and take them out. My last idea stems from my tracker dart and pulse grenade video. Matthew Mott responded to that video saying, did some more thinking on the tracking idea, maybe a device you set up that shoots a constant beam into the air, giving away your location greatly, that shows people in a radius around the device for a period of time. Maybe even an additional drawback of everyone being able to see everyone in that radius on their minimap. Food for thought. There's a lot of ways you could implement this said device. I'm proposing the idea of a flare. It could be a flare gun, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to make it a flare that you would throw just like a grenade. This tactical grenade would be very bright. Everyone would see it thrown, and once it hits the ground, it lights up, sending a red smoke signal towards the air. You could use a grenade type like this to greatly help with callouts and squad play, and that could be all it does, sending out a visual for your squad mates or as a distraction to enemies, and I think this ability is inherently good. Or you could apply the ability that Matthew said to the flare. Once the signal goes up, everyone can see everyone else being pinged on the radar within a radius until the flare goes out, maybe 30 seconds or so. What do you guys think of the grenade ideas I mentioned? I personally really like the idea of a concussion and a flash grenade, something tactical. I would also like to see variations on the lethal grenade and something that isn't so unpredictable like the bouncy grenade is. It's nice to see the recent addition of the smoke as well. I hope to see more grenades implemented into the game. Let me know your favorites and if you have any other ideas in the comments below. If you enjoyed the gameplay or commentary, give the video a thumbs up to show your support, subscribe for Fortnite and all things gaming. This has been Toast, and I'll see you on the next video.